transition, not stop stream. Wow. Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. So, today is Friday, and I'm so excited that it's Friday. It has been quite a week. Um, Honestly, I am still exhausted from Wednesday. We did quite a lot of stuff here. On Wednesday, I raised two bowls, or I guess I sunk them actually. Um, and it was quite a bit. So I'm still a little bit on the tired side. So honestly, I really don't know what we're going to be doing today beyond finishing our ladle. So that's kind of why I have the messing around in the shop label. Um, so I have pre-drilled our bowl. You can probably tell right there. You know what? I forgot to hit record. Goodness gracious. Ray's brain today. We will manage. All right. So today I pre-drilled the holes for the rivets in the bowl of the ladle. So basically what we're going to do is we are going to measure the handle and the bowl, and we're going to measure and cut two rivets to rivet the handle to the bowl. And then we're going to rivet them together. So that's the first thing that we're going to do today. And once we get those rivets done, and I'm not entirely sure how long that's going to take. I mean, it could take a long time. It could take no time. I don't know. But once that is done, we're probably just going to mess around in the shop a little bit. I'm thinking maybe leaves or a J hook or something like that. Something really simple that can be done today after I finish doing the rivet. Because you know, I don't want to start a new project in the middle of a day. I want to start a new and fresh project on Monday. So yeah, we're kind of doing a little bit of time wasting, but honestly, there really isn't a such thing as time wasting in the shop. I mean, it's all practice, it's all fun, and you know, I get to hang out with you guys while I do it. So that's the plan for today. So we do have an ad that's going to be starting here shortly. And once that ad is over, I'll probably start doing a little bit of the measurement. We're going to use the angle grinder to cut the rivets to size. And we're going to get started on that part. So I've got the swage block set here. We are going to use the rivet header in the swage block to give ourselves kind of a good head on the outside of the handle, and then we're going to focus in on hammering directly on the interior of the bowl to rivet the two pieces together. And hopefully, fingers crossed, they'll stay. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm still pretty exhausted from Wednesday's stream. I relaxed most of the day yesterday. I did do a lot of editing on next week's video, but you know, it's a little tiring still. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm a little tired. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we make it through. It should be fine. Yeah, I'm not anticipating anything crazy going on. Water's right there. Cool. For half a second, I thought I forgot my water, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, we should be having some fun today. If you guys have any opinions on what you want to see me make, something simple, something that we can finish in one day, feel free to post your suggestions. Like, you know, like I said, leaves, J hooks, S hooks, something really small. I don't think I have any nail stock, so I don't think we can do nails today. But anything else should be free game. So yeah. Hopefully everything works out. Oh goodness. Like I said, you know, I'm glad it's Friday. Hey, Bluesy. You have no sound, but you're trying to figure out what the cause is, but you will be watching. Well, I am grateful that you'll be watching, and hopefully you can get your sound figured out. I know you probably can't hear me now, but you know. I think, as far as I'm aware, my sound is like I have sound. Fingers crossed. Do I have sound? It says I have sound. If anybody else is watching and they don't have sound, please do let me know. But yeah, I think OBS says I do. So, all right. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we are going to attach, or I guess we're gonna measure how much material for the rivet we need, and then we're gonna cut it off. So I'm thinking, as the thickness of the handle is about the same as it would, you know, as it all the way through, it's like parallel sides, like the top and the bottom. I think that we'll probably cut the same length of rivet for both of them. So what I think we're gonna do is, actually, you know what? I should be doing this. Here. I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna do this because I already have everything all nice and like lined up with the camera. So let's do it this way. Okay. So I think the first thing that we're gonna do is the inner one. So, okay, so we've got that and that. You know what? You guys can't see that. So let's try it this direction. All right. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Hopefully you can. I need, ooh, an idea. I have a Bluetooth headset. Let me connect it to my PC. That might actually work. I've seen that work before. Let me grab some chalk. Because, yeah, I'm not doing amazingly well myself. So, you know, things and stuff. All right. Okay. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but what I'm doing is I am holding this down, and we're going to decide like so, and I'm going to mark this guy so that we have plenty of material that we can kind of make a head for our rivet. So we're going to cut it right in the center of that white soapstone line, and we're going to do 2 of those. So that's the next thing that we're going to do. Woohoo! A 5-stream streak. Is that really bluesy? There's no intro. Yeah. But I mean, I totally get why there would be no intro. I mean, Bluesy's kind of struggling with sound right now. So maybe once Bluesy's got her sound working, we'll get our intro. All right. I am currently moving the camera so you guys can kind of see what's going on where I am cutting this. And let's grab my extension cord so I don't have to trip over the angle grinder cord. Okie doke. Alrighty, so this one, and I should probably do that. Woohoo! Bluesy's got an intro. It's totally bluesy. We know this now. Alrighty. Let's see if we can cut 2 rivets. Okay. We're going to do this. And then we're going to do that. That'll work. You know what? Is it actually in focus? I think it's focus enough, maybe? I don't know. I should, like... Nope, it's not in focus, guys. There we go. Now it's in focus. Goodness gracious. Alright, let's do this. Alright. I've cut 2. I kind of estimated the size of the second one, but I think that it's good enough. These are terrible tongs. Let's use these ones. So we've got 1 rivet and 2 rivets. Ooh, the death wheel. Yes, we've got the death wheel. I dropped it. Where'd it go? There's 1. And there's the other. Are they close enough? I need to do 1 more because it wasn't quite the right length. So I did make them. The tongs? Yes, I did. Those ones I did actually make. You're right. I have no one to blame but myself. I make most of my own tongs. And sometimes they work well and sometimes they work terrible. But you know what? That was the second set of tongs I ever made as a blacksmith. So, I mean, you can hardly blame me, right? Okay. Well, now that one's a little bit long too. I don't know. I really don't know. All right, guys. I have to decide now if I want to do these cold or if I want to do them hot. A lot of times I try to do them hot and then I end up doing them cold. Also, the ones you wear, I like to wear or if I wear anything at all. Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you for sharing that information. The things that happen here on Ray's Smithy stream. Okay. So we're gonna move the camera again because we're gonna be doing some riveting on this side of the swage block. So I am gonna make it a little bit shorter so you guys can kind of see what's going on. I've been kind of really liking the shorter angle lately because I feel like you guys can see a little bit easier. Let me move that out of the way so I can kind of focus on the right spot. All right. Okie doke. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is actually start the forge, and we're going to heat these guys as best that we possibly can. I do want to make sure that we can actually get these through the holes. Because the worst thing is if you can't get them through the holes. Hey, Sandwich! Hey, I'm old. You should all be ashamed of yourselves if you're getting excited. I mean, you know. Okay, so these are a little bit weird. So I am gonna file off the flashing. Farmers say the dumbest things. I'm gonna say the darndest things because you know what? I'm trying to be nice, guys. Be nice. I have finally reached the age where I do not care if my words offend you. Yes, I know, but we're trying to, All right, let's see if I can get the flashing off of this direction. Probably not. It's probably going to be a pain in my butt because it's a little bit too. Nope, it's not wanting to. All right, let's see if I can't like fold it inwards then if it's not going to be. Okay. So, as I said during the ad break, the previous ad break, honest question from a non-native speaker: is dumbest nicer than darndest? To be quite honest, they're probably about the same. Darndest is probably a little bit more on the tactful side, maybe. But I don't know that either one is like, I mean, they're not really like terrible, but they're not amazing either, Okay, so I can get that through that. Can I get that through this? Yes, I can. Okay. How about this one? Can I get this through this? Yes, I can. Can I get this through this? Yes, I can. Okay. Now we're going to start the forge, and we're going to put these guys in there and hope that we can get them out. Thanks. Then I missed something in that conversation. You probably did it. I'm just being overly, like, I don't know. All right, let's turn on the forge. Goodness gracious. Like I said, I'm kind of like discombobulated. I'm a little bit tired. I will do my very best to kind of like manage this. I really wanted to finish this ladle today. But I don't know what to do after that, No. No, we don't do that. Goodness gracious. It's going to be one of those days, guys. Here we go. Fingers crossed. Maybe I can get things to work. Alrighty. These tongs. Can put that one on the floor. Okay, let's reset that real fast. I was just about ready to reset that. Let me exclamation point reset drop. In about a few minutes, you'll have to hit drop again. What is happening? I think we're all right. I am being a little bit loopy today. I don't know. Something. All right. This is what I get for not spending like a really long time planning on what I was going to do today. I mean, I did plan some stuff today, but most of my plans just went up in smoke on Wednesday when I didn't finish my ladle. So I just didn't really know what to do, and so I just decided I would wing it. And you know what? That's a really bad idea. Hey, the most interesting people I ever met were rather loopy. Something like that, yeah. There are so many fun people out there who are just a little bit off. Forge ahead and find out. Exactly. I figured I'd just wing it a little bit. I figured you guys would forgive me for winging it one time. So, I do have a plan for Monday's stream. Monday's stream, we are going to start working on a pair of scissors. But right now, I'm looking at using. What is going on with the forge? Oh, that might have been why. The burner fell into the forge, so it was too far down the hole and it wasn't calibrated right. No, never. You must wing it more often. Who is off? I'm off. I'm definitely off today. Let's see. Is there going to be a better way for me to do this so that you guys can kind of see? Okay, if I hold it like so, you guys might know. I think I want to hold it this way. You know what? That's probably the best way to do it, you know, because then the anvil holds the one side, and then all I have to do is hold this side. We'll stick the rivet inside here like so, and then we'll be able to hammer the head of it. That works. I think I'm ready to do this once the rivets heat up. But yeah, like I said, Monday's stream will be doing or we'll start a pair of scissors, right? And I want to use some more of the spring steel that Corwin sent me in the mail. But I need to get rid of the coating on those sections of steel. So that is going to be something that I do this weekend. And I just did not have time to do it over the past couple of days. So that is going to be our next project. Unless you guys would rather see me attempt to make another hammer, but I think that I need to work on our hammer eye punch before we make another hammer. The hammer eye punch that I have it's not really a hammer eye punch, it's too big. So I need to reshape it a little bit. We got to cut some material off of it. So I think that scissors is probably our next project. Late night bonfire, yes. We are going to be burning the coating off the springs, even though I told you guys that you shouldn't do that. After the butler goes inside, yes, the butler will be inside during that process. That way, they don't gotta smell it. I'm off to take a shower, so yes, I'm off for a while. All right. Thanks, Bluesy. We'll see you later. Okay, so this should actually work pretty well. We're gonna start with the top hole on the bowl and the inside hole on the handle. We're going to attempt to rivet those two together. I have a feeling that you might be missing the relevant parts of the conversation. You know what? I probably am. Now that I saw that, well, not off. That is unshowered. So yes, I did miss that part. Goodness. All right. I don't know, guys. I don't know. So like I said, after I finish riveting the handle to the bowl, I think what we're going to do is probably make, I don't know, we'll probably actually turn the piece that I cut the rivets off of around and make or we're going to start making a leaf. I might turn the leaf into a J hook. But yeah, so I'm just kind of killing time until Monday. But killing time is fun too, right? So this weekend should actually be a relatively busy one for me too. I mean, I'm already tired, so I don't know how much of the stuff I'm going to get done this week, but I have a few things that I need to rearrange in the shop. So I've been moving stuff out of this shop. This used to be where all of the jewelry stuff was, and when I moved it down in the basement, I started moving some of my fabrication tools into the small shop. And I'm going to be continuing to do that. Over here, I have the welder, and the welding table is back there. So we're going to take those and put them in there so we have like a full-on fabrication shop, a full-on smithy, and a full-on jewelry shop. So we'll be able to kind of move around and have a little bit more space to walk around and do some larger scale pictures. Where did I get pictures from? Pieces. So I'll be doing some of that this weekend. The butler wants to clean out the carport because you guys have kind of seen my carport, but you've only seen like half of it. So we're actually going to clean out this section in the center between where the cars park. There's a whole bunch of junk in the middle of it. Like I have an anvil in there and a few other things. And so the butler wants to clean it out. And I'm just like, I don't know if I have the energy to do that. And then we're also doing lunch with my mother-in-law. So I don't know. It's shaping up to be quite a busy weekend. What about you guys? You guys got anything fun planned for this weekend? Forging projects, anything like that? Moving? Can you buy jewelries in a jewelry shop? I mean, sometimes. It depends on what type of jewelry shop you're going to. Like, there are jewelry shops where you can only buy jewelry. There are jewelry shops that you can buy and repair jewelry, and then there are other shops where you can only repair jewelry. So this shop like the downstairs shop is a jewelry shop where you can only repair and create jewelry. I will hopefully put up the kitchen in my new apartment. Ooh. So is your new apartment a bigger apartment or like a small one, or, a downgrade? Is it like a side grade, just like moving around so it's like closer to stuff? I'm one of those people that has a tendency when I move someplace, it's because I'm trying to get closer to my place of employment or like my educational facility. I don't know about fun, but my daughter is having her birthday sleepover tonight. 6 loud 13 to 14-year-old girls. Yay. The apartment is bigger, but the kitchen is tiny. Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you can find places to put all of your kitchen utensils and like your cooktops and surfaces and things. Pots, pans, all that stuff. So a 13 to 14-year-old sleepover. Man, I don't think you're going to be getting any sleep tonight because they certainly won't. I remember when I was 13 to 14 years old doing sleepovers, we like never slept. We just like played games and giggled and talked. And they were fun though. All right. I'm going to reset my camera. Are they not? We plan for hours what cover to put where. There aren't many because there's no space. I can imagine. I can also imagine that mine and the butler's kitchen would definitely be atrocious to a lot of people because we don't really have set places for all of our stuff. We kind of just shove things in cabinets and drawers. And there's we have like a silverware drawer where all the silverware goes, but they don't have special places. I'm constantly like flipping where the spoons and the forks go. The knives have a place and they always end up in the same place. But for whatever reason, if we run out of forks and spoons and like the little drawer is empty, when they get washed, I never remember which side goes where. And we sort of have so many pots that they just kind of fall all over the place in the cupboards. So, I mean, we have cupboards and drawers for things specifically, but they never end up in the same exact place twice. So I feel like some of you might think that's atrocious. So I think that we are going to attempt to do a rivet once this ad comes, or once it's over. We have an ad that's going to start in about a minute and a half. Even if the rivets are kind of cold, because I want to get started with some stuff, some actual stuff. I hate rivets. It's my least favorite job here in the shop, aside from grinding. I suppose grinding is worse than riveting. Are they working all right? I think. Let me grab a different. Okay, so that one's starting to get nice and hot. All right, I think we're going to be able to hot rivet them. That's exciting. I wasn't sure we'd be able to do that. We also have this tendency to like eat off of plates and stuff that we've just gotten straight out of the dishwasher because, you know, when the dishwasher's done, I don't hear it being done. It's in the other room. So then when I get there, I'm lazy. So I'm really lazy when it comes to stuff like that. I'm not as lazy when it comes to other people's like houses and stuff. If I'm a guest or if I have roommates or something, you know, I'm a lot more clean than if I am left to my own devices. So I don't know. It's a good thing that the butler has a similar tolerance for cleanliness than I do. Otherwise, it would not have worked out for us. I think that's an incredibly important thing to think about when, you know, you're looking for a potential partner, whether that's a roommate or a romantic partner or, you know, family even almost. You know, you got to make sure that you have a similar level of cleanliness standards. My roommates in college and I did not have a similar cleanliness standard. If you can believe it, I had a higher standard than they did. But then I don't think that they were ever really taught how to clean. So, you know, when the college came to inspect our dorm room, I did a really like thorough clean, and they kind of got mad at me because I moved their stuff, but I had to in order to clean around it, you know, or under it. Okay. And I hope that you guys will be able to see. If I move this like that, I need to make sure. Okay, that's a little bit too high. I think this is probably as good as I'm gonna. So is that? Hopefully, you guys will be able to see. Hopefully. Okay. Looks like the ads are done. So I'm gonna make an attempt. I'm gonna look to make sure that you guys can kind of see what I'm doing before. And I don't think you guys can. So I think what I'm gonna do is move the camera. Because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm up to. So that's probably a better view. I hope that's a better view for you. Okay. And we're gonna put that there. Okie doke. Let's try this. We're gonna end up doing a cold piece, aren't we? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. I apologize, guys. Looks like this is going to be done a little bit on the colder side, just so that I can make sure that I've done it right. Or gotten it in there correctly. Goodness gracious. There. There's that. Jeez. Well, I don't know what I've done there. There, that's better. Much more better. Okay. Oh, I know exactly what I did. Goodness gracious, guys. I am not doing so hot today. Have I done that right? Okay. Okay, so we've got it nice and started. So I'm going to heat this up again, and we're going to continue working on that, kind of squishing it down. But first, what we're going to do is we are going to heat this up again. Lunar First Crafts, welcome to the stream. Hey, hey. First First off, I am absolutely terrible at riveting, so apologies all around. This is kind of like, I don't know, the blind leading the blind. Like I said, I'm kind of terrible at making rivets, but we're trying to rivet a ladle together. So I have a handle and I have a bowl that I've made, and I'm trying to put them together. I'm a simple gal. I see blacksmithing, I click. Yes, I love blacksmithing. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I'm a blacksmith. If you've got any questions about blacksmithing, yeah, just let me know. I love answering questions. Today I'm a little bit tired, so I'm kind of, I don't really have a plan, so I'm kind of running by the seat of my pants, but we'll see what happens. This is a riveting thing you are doing. I am riveting it. Yes, I am definitely riveting it. PSA for refilling a propane tank is cheaper than exchanging because you get 5 pounds less propane in the exchange. 15 versus 20 pounds, and usually the same price or cheaper for a refill. Just refilled a couple tanks. Yes, I'm totally aware of that. It is actually a little bit cheaper for me to refill my tanks as opposed to exchange them. However, the reason that I put up with the less propane and the slightly higher price is because I don't want to have to worry about my valves, right? Because when you are managing your own tank, if you are refilling it, any damage to the valves within transport between, you know, the location and your own shop, any damage that happens to that will be your fault. You have to repair it. You have to buy a new tank. So if I exchange it, then it is the exchange place's responsibility to maintain the valves. When I was like 7 to 13, I wanted to be a blacksmith. Like, I made tools and metals from paper, and I would pretend all by myself. I wanted to be like an actress, and I wanted to be a costume designer when I was a kid. So I took a bunch of acting classes in school, and I was in all of the high school plays and stuff like that. And I really love sewing, but I fell in love with metal. Just replace the valve. Yeah, like I said, you can just replace the valve. I just don't, you know, that's what they do. That's their responsibility. I rely on them to have fixed my valves for me. I don't have to do that, and it's one less thing I have to worry about. All right, we're going to do another attempt. And we're going to see a absolutely gorgeous, glowing piece of steel. Because the bowl is nice and red. All right, so we are going to come back here, like so, and continue riveting. Okay, so now we've got our first rivet on there pretty darn well. So now we need to put a second rivet in there, so right there. And the reason we need to put 2 rivets in is because otherwise, as this cools down, the bowl will start to rotate around the handle, and I don't want that to happen. So that is our next goal. I think I'm gonna change. Yes, it is totally holding. I'm super excited about that. I wasn't sure at first, I won't lie. My hungry self could never be a glass crafter. I would chomp that scorching blob on my second day. I won't lie. When I was in college, I took glass blowing as one of the classes that I took in school. And my glass blowing class, yeah, you're right. The glowing blob looked almost appetizing, especially if you were using cracked glass. So when you're decorating glass, there, you have like colored broken glass that you can kind of roll into your glass, and it looked like sprinkles. I'm not saying that I would have or that I should have, but it was a temptation. Just like the temptation that I have to just like grab my pieces of steel. I gotta be super careful. Um, what am I looking for? These are what I'm looking for. No, these are not what I'm looking for. You know what I am looking for is these. These are my flat jaw tongs. They were going to allow me to kind of hold this in place, like so, over top of the hole that I have. Okay, that's actually hotter than I thought it would be. Okay, so we will be putting in the other rivet, like right here. So I think we should be okay. Okay. I get the urge to bite my sparkly yarn or fiber. Ooh. That could also be dangerous. There's a lot of different yarns that aren't amazingly good to eat, you know? So you got to be a little bit on the careful side with some of that. All right. Have I managed to get it? I think so. All right. I am going to put this back in the forge. We're going to heat this rivet back up again, and we're going to continue working. Whoops, these are the wrong tongs. Where did I put the right tongs? For this one. We're getting there. So we've got 2 rivets. You can kind of see both of them on there. And we're going to see what happens. Whoops. There we go. Oh no, as I sent it early. What did we send early? All right, I'm gonna move these guys out of my way, and we're gonna keep on keeping on. I now remember why I had the urge to be a blacksmith. My big brother and I watched Forged in Fire on TLC. Yeah, Forged in Fire is honestly, it's the beginning of a lot of people's blacksmithing journeys. I started blacksmithing a little bit before Forged in Fire started as a show. I had a ex-boyfriend who was really into blacksmithing. Because he encountered it in a Boy Scout camp and brought it back and kind of taught me a little bit here and there about how to do it. And shortly after that, Forged in Fire came on the air, and it was super exciting to see, like on TV. And I learned. I guess I didn't really learn much from it because I didn't have cable at the time, but it became a lot more easy to find equipment and find people on YouTube that were blacksmithing. And so, you know, I very much enjoy the fact that Forged in Fire was around. However, it is a reality show. So the reality of blacksmithing isn't quite as glamorous. I was always interested in it, but that is what pushed me off the fence and into it. Yeah. Oh, you know what? My phone is ringing. That's fun. It can stay ringing. I'm streaming. I'm not going to answer my phone. All right. So I am changing from my big hammer to this ball peen hammer. We're going to make the inside head a little bit wider with this guy because it's going to pinpoint the center of the rivet and kind of spread it out a little bit easier, a little bit more evenly. And it should work pretty well in theory. So we're going to see what we can do. I'm going to make another attempt. Okay, I still have some some footage left on that one. No, not interested in Forged in Fire. Aren't those things that are forged in fire? I mean, most of the stuff on Forged in Fire are totally forged in fire. But not everything. I mean, there's a lot of grinding on Forged in Fire as well. Okay. Okay, I think I've got it. All right. So, oh, it bent a little bit. So it's not the bestest rivet I've ever done, but it's all right. So the next thing that we're going to do is kind of shape this ladle a little bit. Right now it's going to be really hard to use this guy to get soup, you know? Because it's a little bit there. I flattened it out a little bit when I was riveting that on. And then I also want to bend the handle a little bit. So I think that's what we're going to do next. Probably. If I can get it in there. Is there a such thing as cold forging? There is a such thing as cold forging. Cold forged the boiler on my tractor engine. Yeah. So forging is the process of shaping metal using force, right? So you can forge with a hammer by hand. You can forge with a power hammer, which is a tool, like an automatic engine-driven tool. You can forge with a press, like a shop press. But yeah, you can totally forge cold. It's just not quite as easy as forging hot for many steels, but not all steels either, and not all metals. Stock removal is not technically forging. Forging is like using pressure to shape material. So I guess I didn't accurately define the word. Forging is moving metal using pressure, and yeah. So I would say using pressure. You shape material by using pressure against the belt. I mean, technically, yes, you are using pressure against the belt, but the belt is what is moving the metal. It's removing the metal. So, by sanding it or grinding it down. So, the pressure is more driving the speed at which the material is ground off as opposed to squishing and manipulating the material. So, I mean, we can get really technical about it if we need to. Yeah, I'm just being annoying. You know that I'm good for that. I mean, you know what? It is a valid, it's a valid question or a valid statement, Because there might be somebody out there who that's what they think. What is messing? Is there a new technical term I've not heard yet? Messing around in the shop means I don't know what I'm doing today. I don't have a plan. Because you know what? My plan was basically, start a new project today, but that kind of died when I didn't finish the ladle in time. So we're kind of finishing the ladle, and then after that, I'm going to take this piece of stock and I'm just going to play around with it. We'll probably start on this side by doing a leaf, and I don't know what we'll do from there. So yes, we're messing around. We're making a mess. All right. All right. So we've got 2 lovely rivets in there. It's not bad. I think it's all right. Like I said, I do need to bend it a little bit, and we'll do that. Because right now, if you were to hang on to it, it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel like we need to bend the handle a little bit. So maybe I'll stick it in handle first. Like so. This kind of reminds me of this ladle specifically reminds me of the ladles that the guys that worked in the Chinese section of my grocery store used to use, right? Messing is Dutch for a copper alloy, a mix of different metals, namely copper and zinc. Okay. Yeah, a lot of ladles have a bit of a swoop to the handle. Yes, so I need to put that in. That is the next thing that I need to do. But yeah, so this particular ladle reminds me of the ones that you use for with a wok, right? You got the wok and they have the huge mouths and it's kind of rounded. And then you kind of use this big old scoop for like stir fry in them. And that's what this particular ladle kind of reminds me of, as opposed to a ladle for like gravy. A gravy ladle tends to be a lot smaller. So I'm thinking that this is a pretty big old ladle. It's like yay big. I started with a 6-inch sheet of sheet steel. Maybe I should have gone a little bit smaller. I think a 4-inch sheet would have been a little bit easier and a little better, but you know, you live and you learn, right? The kitchen is about 1.6 meters by 3 meters, 5¼ feet by 9 8/4 feet. Yes, I started typing that message before receiving a call. Or in what unit are rooms usually measured? Square feet. In the United States, we have a tendency to talk about rooms in square feet. So this particular room is about 33,000 square feet. It's 20 by 15. Okay, that's the area, but lengths are in feet, usually, yeah. You do not want to have square feet. Definitely not. I prefer to have feet-shaped feet. Feet-shaped feet. Okay, so we have an ad that's going to be starting in about 2-3 minutes, somewhere in there. So we're going to do one more heat, and then I'm going to stick another piece of steel into the forge. I'm going to do that. All right, I think that's where we're going to leave it. We've got a little bit of a round section there. And I think if we do too terribly much else, we're going to rip the rivets right out of this. And I definitely don't want to do that. So I think that's probably where we're going to leave it at the moment. Right. There we go. There we go. I think that's it for the moment. That's all she wrote on this guy. Hey, Bubba. Welcome to the stream. We have created a ladle. This ladle is kind of designed probably primarily for like cooking with a wok, I feel like. You know? You can put a whole bunch of like soy sauce in there or something. So yeah, I think that's about it for the moment. I'll put that over here. And we'll take that out a little bit once it cools off. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take this guy and stick it in the forge. Wish I had been there for the first of that. It was a fun process. I absolutely despise rivets. A bit larger, and that thing is the wok. Well, you're definitely right about that. Definitely right about that. Sorry if you use that much soy sauce. You're planning a murder. Is that too much salt? I mean, maybe. But like I said, it's about the size of a restaurateur's ladle for soy sauce. So when the people we're making the stir fry. It was like a giant tub of it for multiple people. I don't know. I should have made a smaller disc. I should have made a smaller disc. All right, we're gonna change the angle on the camera. Maybe. Actually, we're not. We're just gonna restart it because we're starting a new project. Good God. Oh, goodness gracious. It's one of those days. I'm not 100% today. I'm a little tired. I'm a little bit loopy. Can I turn up the forge a little bit? I think it'll be all right. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, so now that we have completed our ladle, what we're going to be starting to do is probably making a leaf. So this is a brand new project, and it's kind of an idea that the butler had. I'm starting to run through my videos really quickly. I don't have anything to edit. It's a bot. So we are going to be starting a new project, and like I said, we're going to do a leaf. And for the process for this leaf, we're pretty much going to be doing as best we can filming the leaf, because I've learned a lot about filming as well as blacksmithing over this last year. And so the butler thinks that I should make a video comparing my very first leaf video to a leaf video that I filmed today. So I don't know if it'll work. We'll see. It depends, We'll see if I can make a better leaf video to this year than I could last year. And I definitely am a lot better at camera movements and editing. So we'll see if this works as a video or not. So yeah, that is the butler's idea. We'll see what happens. If I can get this leaf done quickly, then maybe we won't do anything. Maybe we won't just do a leaf. We'll do other things too. Depends. Aren't they diapers? I mean, that is a adult diaper brand. That is an adult diaper brand. You know what? When I am a little bit silly, I think that you guys get really silly too. But that's all right. We're going to get through this Friday together. And then we've got the whole weekend to rest and relax and kind of get our brains back functioning correctly. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I'm not doing so hot on the whole talking part today. Okay. Do we have enough heat? That is the question. No, definitely not. Look at that. It's like barely orange. Let's turn up the forge. Maybe we can get a little bit more heat if we turn up the forge a little bit more. It's Friday. Yes, time for brain shutdown. Weekends. What is that curse? You know what? I know. Farmers don't have weekends. And you know what? Neither do content creators. But you know what? I can dream, right? I can remember that time, that beautiful time when I was still in school and weekends were actually a thing. All right. So turning up the forge is definitely heating up the material a lot better. So hopefully it heats up real nice and we'll be able to start a leaf. A leaf. I haven't decided if I want to turn this leaf into just a keychain or if I want to turn it into a J hook with a leaf on it. I know that we just kind of did a leaf when it came to the ladle. There's a leaf on the end of the ladle. Ladle? There's a leaf on the end of the ladle, but we're going to do another one. We're going to do another one. I try to think back to that time, but 58 years is such a long time. I mean, for me, it was like, what, 20 years? 25 years, somewhere in there? Somewhere between 25 and 20 and 25 years ago. Have you had time for van work or has it been too cold? Today it is 60 degrees outside, and so it is just now getting to the point where we could definitely do some van work if we wanted to. So we do have a few things that we would like to do with the van, but we need to get a few materials in order to do that work. So we should be starting on or a little bit more van work within, maybe in the next month or two. It's livable right now for, a couple of days, a couple of nights. But it could be better, we want to get a inverter for the van so that we can charge the battery a little bit more efficiently. And then we also want to get a swivel seat. Those are the first couple of things that we're kind of thinking about. And then I don't know what we're going to do after that. We kind of have a cabinet that we need to design, and we got to put some drawers in and stuff like that so that we can have a little bit of extra storage. And we'll probably do some of that, within the next month or two, because it's going to be blacksmith conference season here shortly, and I got to use the van. All right, let's do a heat. Our first heat on this leaf. Does the ladle and end leaf turn into the ladle into a leaf end ladle? Maybe? I'm not sure. Is it cool enough to touch? Not yet. So we've got the leaf right there, and this is the ladle, and yeah. So there's a leaf on the end of the ladle. It makes it eco-friendly. You know what? Now you guys make me think that I'm missing a joke that you guys get, and I don't. That's just leaf washing. Maybe? Like I said, I think I don't get the joke. Nothing in the blacksmith shop is cool enough to touch, right? It's not burning, but it's uncomfortably hot. So we'll show this off a little bit later in the stream. Is there like a leaf end as like some kind of eco-friendly brand or something? So blacksmithing shops are generally uncool. Yeah, because blacksmith shops tend to be hot. They're hot. And then the blacksmiths inside the blacksmith shops are pretty hot too. We may be uncool, but we're definitely hot. So we are going to isolate the leaf by hammering it over the edge of the anvil. They are hot. Remember, everything in the blacksmith shop is scalding. That's not even the way to prevent yourself from burning. Yes, the best way to prevent yourself from burning yourself in the shop is to consider everything hot. So, the back of your hand is oftentimes more sensitive than the palm of your hand. So, if you can feel heat radiating off of a black piece of steel, don't touch it. You play the floor is lava, but everything is lava. I'm a blacksmith, but I don't know about hot. You know what? There is somebody for everyone. Alternative, watch blacksmithing on Twitch and you never enter the shop yourself. That is very true, There are a few blacksmiths here on Twitch that you are, encouraged to watch. There's Tim the Blacksmith. There's me. There's several others, actually. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like blacksmithing, but I know it's not for everyone, It's really interesting to watch. It's interesting to interact with people who are blacksmithing. But, it can get uncomfortable, It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of work. There is a knife maker blacksmith called PS Knives. Yes. I don't know that I have seen PS Knives, but yeah, we should watch them if they're on. Johnson is oftentimes, he streams earlier in the day than I do, but he is a material removing bladesmith. He's really fun to watch. A wrestler friend of mine might start forging on her streams when it gets warmer. Right now she plays Skyrim. Ooh. There is a Skyrim for everyone. I'm a Soul 3 man. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the community. Yeah, he says he's not a blacksmith. He's a stock remover, and he is silly. Yeah, I mean, he does a lot of stock removal, but you know what? That's fun too. I don't like grinding, but there are people who, you know, it's very relaxing for them. You can make some amazing knives using material removal, you know? It's not all about blacksmithing. And blacksmithing can be a component, but you know, he is very entertaining. Yes, there are a lot of really entertaining makers and crafters on Twitch, you know, and I would encourage you all to, you know, check them out. Check them out. All right, let's keep on keeping on. We are going to start shaping this leaf. And I think this will be the last, you know what? You know what? I should change the angle of the camera before I do this step, because the better angle, it's going to be taller and from this direction. You know, especially if I'm trying to make a video about making videos and how much better at making videos I'm getting, maybe I should think about making the video, guys. Maybe I should think about making the video. There we go. I'm hoping to see him later on when he gets to set up his sharpening business shop. Does he have a sharpening shop that he's going to start? That would be cool. So we are flattening out the central ridge on this piece of steel. And from here, we're going to change hammers. Instead of using this rounding hammer, we're going to go to a cross-peen hammer so we can widen out our leaf. There are probably 10 knives in various stages in my garage. I forge as much as I can to reduce grinding time. The old saying, 1 minute at the anvil prevents 10 minutes of grinding, assuming you don't add more dings and dents, of course. That is very true. I want this one. I think this is the one I want. Yeah. Yeah, he is. Tomorrow's the grand opening, I believe. That's so cool. Get one meta layer up. Make a video of how you are getting better in making videos about how you are getting better at making videos. Okay. I mean, I'm kind of letting you guys in on the back end of me making this video about making videos. But I have to get this video done, right, about making videos so that I can get one more layer meta, you know? And then after that, I can make another video about making videos, about making videos, about making videos, right? It's a videoception. So, let's see. What else is going on? Correct. Yeah. See, I have to make this video before I can make that video. You know, maybe next year I'll make that video. So yeah, I'm trying to increase my skills in blacksmithing, in filmmaking, in editing. So I'm learning a lot of stuff by both streaming and making YouTube videos. It's just, you know, this concept is the same as blacksmithing. Make a tool to make a tool to make a tool, and make a tool you want to make the first place, or to make in the first place. Yes, definitely. And that's kind of what it, what it is like when you're trying to make a hammer from scratch, right? If you don't have any hammer making tools, you've got to make a punch, you've got to make a drip, you've got to make like fullers, you got to make, all kinds of stuff in order to, in the end, make the hammer that you wanted to make in the first place. You know what? It helps if I actually aim the hammer correctly. More heat. I don't know if this leaf is gonna do what I want it to do, but we'll see. 40 years from now, kids, back when I was making videos about making a video about making, hey Granny Ray, we know that story. Can you tell us another one, pretty please? Right? I'm like that these days, though. I'll tell the same story as though people haven't heard it so many times, and sometimes I change some of the details to make it more interesting and relevant to the conversation. My small hammer drift will work up to 1 to 1.5 pound hammer. So the big axe I'm beating on currently will handle where that leaves off. It is hammer time. If you have a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, I'd hammer in the evening, all over this land. Yeah. Hammer in the morning, hammer in the evening. All right, I'm going to change the angle again. Because trying to make things interesting. But you know what? The first thing I'm going to do is untangle my camera cord from the extension cord. Goodness gracious. I'm going to trip all over the place, guys. I'm going to trip all over the place. Alrighty, let's do this. Almost sounded like you were going into the bagel fights theme. Maybe. That's another good one. There we go. We'll do that. You do not know your classics. You know what? I probably don't. I won't lie. This is the worst leaf ever, guys. That's so ugly. I don't know what my problem is today. Look at that. That looks so bad. I think I'm going to cut it off and start over. I don't know. Maybe I should. You know what? I will change hammers and we'll try this again. Not again, but like we'll keep on keeping on, but with a different hammer. Let's start with there's enough thickness you can reshape it. Yes, definitely that's very true. So we are going to continue shaping it It's just going to be a little bit blobby for the most part right now. It'll get better as we go. Trust the process, Ray. Trust the process. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. But then again, there are weird leaves in nature. There are weird leaves in nature. But I tend to try and make them at least a little bit pleasant, because most leaves in nature, they have a certain amount of regularity to them. Even if if it's an ugly leaf, it still kind of conforms to a certain set of rules, right? Because DNA is beholden to a certain set of rules. So I can't just make a random blob and expect it to look like a leaf. I have to kind of give it a little bit of order. So we have an ad that is about to start in about 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. So let's see if I can't reshape this leaf a little bit. We're going to use a ball peen hammer to kind of put a little bit of a base, like a fatter base, on this leaf. We're starting to get somewhere. All right, a little bit more heat. So it's Friday and rush hour it's like already starting. So we've got a whole bunch of cars that are coming through the construction zone in front of my house. So there's like a bus that's just sitting there, and hammer in the morning, hammer in the evening, hammer at supper time, be my little hammer and hammer all the time. The reason I know that song is from Bugs Bunny, and I was so little when I heard it the first time that I don't remember the exact lyrics to it. I can hear the music in my head, but I can't hear what Bugs Bunny is saying, Bagel Bites used a similar jingle, did they? I don't watch a lot of commercials except for the ones that are tailored to me that come up on my YouTube channel. Because you know what? The butler works for our local news station, or one of them, and you know what? We don't actually have local TV. Like, we don't have an antenna or like a cable box or whatever. We watch like Netflix and streaming services. So we don't actually have cable or anything like that. Pizza in the morning, pizza in the evening, pizza at supper time. When pizza's on a bagel, you can eat pizza anytime. Wow. I suppose that works for a Bagel Bites ad, All right. So I think we're still waiting on an ad. So once that ad is done, we'll do another heat on the anvil face. Hey, Mountain of Meat. Welcome to the stream. We're kind of a little bit on the loopy side today. I'm a little tired, so I don't really have much of a plan today. We're just kind of making stuff, and we're making a leaf, kind of see what happens out of today's stream. On Monday, we will be starting a pair of scissors, But first, before I can do that, I have to, Ditto was just out here. But yeah, I have to get some of the coating off of some spring steel that Corwin sent me. So I didn't have time to burn it off before today's stream. So we're just kind of wasting time until we can get a new project going. A giant spring, yeah. Let me grab it. A giant spring. I think we're going to use the bigger one. So yeah, we're going to use a couple of chunks of this guy right here. A giant spring. Then you can raid Courtney later. She's a little loopy side on every stream, right? There is a van that's sitting in front of my garage door that's open, and it's reflecting the sun right in here. Put them on both feet and see if you can get on the roof. I don't know. I think that seems a little bit dangerous. If I if I don't catch myself, I'll fall and I'd break something. Then I wouldn't be able to stream. That would be sad, not being able to stream for you guys. Alrighty, let's do another heat. We're kind of shaping this leaf up a little bit. Doing my best. All right. That base isn't bad, so now we're going to work on the tip in a few moments. I kind of want to make it the tip a little bit more pointy, and we'll kind of move a little bit with it. But I think we're doing all right. You gotta catch yourself before you wreck yourself, right? It's Ray's full cast stream. You could always use the sun was in my eye. The sun is in my eyes right now, guys. They have the street down to one lane over there, and so the cars, they're just sitting in front of my garage door, and I have it wide open because it's actually kind of warm in here, and I need that extra cross draft. So yeah, I could just see all of the shinies from the cars. Sure it is. I know. Making excuses. I don't know. I don't know, guys. All right. Changing hammers again. Goodness gracious. I don't know. It's just one of those days. I woke up this morning and I was exhausted, and I was just like, you know what? I'm not going to do anything until I actually have to stream today. And so I was playing video games, and, I said I didn't plan anything. And you know what? I literally did not plan anything. I did think about it yesterday, but I didn't do any planning. I didn't make any, actual solid plans. I was like, oh, I could do that tomorrow. And then I was like, hey, Butler, what should I make today? And the Butler was like, make a leaf. And I was like, okay. Goodness. If you are ever, if you are a aspiring content creator or an aspiring streamer, my best advice is actually have some sort of guidelines or plans for what you're planning on doing. Because the more you think about different segments that you can do, the more smooth your stream is going to be, and you're going to be less embarrassed. So, don't do like I did today. Actually plan your streams. All right, one more heat with this view, and then we're going to change the view again. I'm having some kind of issues today. We having some kind of issues. Well, it kind of looks like a leaf, vaguely. I like the streams of consciousness. Randomness works. See, I like having a stream of consciousness going while I'm streaming, but I also have like kind of a plan for what I want to do usually, right? So I start with a plan, and then I allow the stream of conscious to move me as as it sees fit. So it's kind of a combination of plans and stream of consciousness together is what I think makes my stream successful. So I think I'm doing all right filling the time. But my main issue that I'm seeing is that I'm just talking about how I don't know what I want to talk about, And that works sometimes, but, it would be nicer if I had, like, some kind of idea, Some sort of plan. So, yeah. So for our next heat, what we're going to be doing is we are going to thin out a stem for this leaf. And I want it to be really long and really thin so that we can make some scrolls in it. I think I want to do a keychain, and I want a little loop, and I want to wrap the stem around that loop twice. So that's the goal. So we're going to have a pretty long stem. You know what we said in the army? Plans do not survive first contact with the enemy or your adoring fans, whichever the case is. I mean, that's very true, right? A lot of times I come in here with a plan and I have like a list of bullet points that I want to cover in a day, right? And I start with like the first one. And then you guys start talking about stuff. And then we have a nice back and forth conversation, right? And sometimes it just goes, and that's all we talk about is the back and forth and however that leads, whatever meandering way. But then there's also times where I have a list of bullet points, and I start the first bullet point, and then we talk a little bit back and forth, and then there's a lull, right? That's when I can go back to my list of bullet points, and I can pull one off the list, and I can talk about that for a little bit. And then that kind of keeps us moving a little bit. And, so that I'm not just standing here staring at the camera. I'm just going to stare at you guys for a minute. It's kind of uncomfortable, But I did not do that today. So it's very off the cuff. I'm kind of winging it today. Hey, Blue Red Metal. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. Let's see, is this cool enough yet? Yes, it is. All right. Check it out. We've got a little bit of flex in there, but not too bad. Not too bad. Got to clean this guy up. I think that it would have been nicer if we had a little bit more, bend in the handle, but I think I think that I was having a little bit of trouble with our bowl. It was kind of starting to move a little bit, and while it actually ended up staying together, it wasn't as together as I wanted it to be. I love it when you stare into your soul. You can vent it while it's cold. You're right, I can. I probably will too. The soup Nazi label. Yeah, yes. It's totally a soup Nazi ladle. It's like a whole bowl of soup, you know? I have a little bit of something. I need to kind of. There's a little bit of a gap between the handle and the bowl. So I need to kind of like secure it a little bit better, I think. So I don't know. I'll probably do that this weekend. Please, sir, can I have some more? No, you can't, Oliver Twist. No soup for you. All right. We are going to be working on a little bit of a stem. Like I said, I want this to be relatively long. You know what? I'm not letting this heat up enough. I'm pulling it out really cold. So I need to be more patient. Patience is a virtue that I really don't have much of. All right, I am done with my water for the day. So it is Gatorade o'clock. I will be right back. We're going to drink the red and discard the yellow. Well, not discard it, but, you know, ignore it. Alrighty. So yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm doing an amazing job at this leaf, and I don't really feel like I'm doing an amazing job at conducting the stream. But you know what? We can't always be our best every time, and you know we should. I feel comfortable enough that I can flounder and still, you know, still do it. All right, let's do another heat. See, that is what makes you you. You are comfortable enough. Well, I kind of have an advantage on that front too, because like when I was growing up, I really wanted to be an actress, and so my parents script and saved, and they got me into as many acting classes as they could afford. And so I took a lot of acting classes. I was in a lot of plays. I was in a band. So I don't really have the whole stage fright thing. And I know it's a little bit different talking to cameras as opposed to live people, but you know, it is what it is. I try to be mostly comfortable. But you know what? Right now, we only have 7 people watching, so, you know. But yeah. So on Monday, we're going to start those scissors. I will have the coating all taken off of the spring, and we should just be able to straighten it and turn it into, you know, a set of scissors. I want to do the bigger spring because it's a little bit on the thicker side, right? This is the, here, let me grab these. So this is the material that we made our punches and chisels out of. And that's like about a 5/8 inch, and that's an estimate, wide piece of steel. Well, this one's a lot bigger. This one's probably like, I don't know, maybe like 3/4 or something. This thing is a lot bigger than this one. So I kind of, you know, I think that extra material is going to make some wider and prettier scissor blades. So we are going to be cutting a few sections off of this guy to turn into a pair of scissors. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a big stretch for my abilities because in order to make a functional pair of scissors, the pieces have to be completely and totally lined up. You know, I can't leave a little bit of a wobble here or, you know, a little indent or divot in these scissors. They have to be perfectly aligned and they have to rivet together perfectly. And so, like I said, I think it's going to be a big stretch. So fingers crossed, you know, we get it all together and it's going to function and cut paper or cloth or whatever I get it to use. But, you know, I think it's going to be a fun project. And you get to burn the coating off and experience the toxic smoke again. Yes. Yeah. So maybe. I do have a few other tricks up my sleeve that I might be able to use to get the coating off. But you know what? It's easy to just throw it in the forge. But it's really, really bad for you. So don't do that. So what I really should do is I should hook up my sandblaster. I have a sandblaster, and it would definitely take the coating off of the spring. So if I were doing the smart thing, that's how I would do it. I have used that particular sandblaster to take, what is it called? The coating that you bake on steel. I can't even remember what it's called. That's really bad if I can't remember what it's called. Careful with sandblasters. They can punch right through the metal. Yes, they definitely can. Enamel, yes. Yeah, like an enamel. I've done that before. Like I've taken enamel off of steel with my sandblaster. So, you know, it would work if I took the time to hook it up. I will probably end up, you know, just burning it off because I'm lazy, but you know, that's a better way. We're getting there. The bonus fire that you get from burning enamel is cool too. Depending on what color the enamel is and what they're using. Alright, we're going to change the angle again. Because reasons. The mail is here. You know what, guys? I'm so bad. I haven't gotten the mail at the P.O. box this week. Well, technically hot. It is definitely technically hot. Yeah, I forgot to pick up the mail at the P.O. box. So if any of you guys have sent me anything at the P.O. box, I haven't gotten it yet. I will make sure that I get it on Monday of next week. Ray just did a Scorpion Mortal Kombat, went out one side of the screen and came back the other. Yeah, I went around. So I have my media cart is in the center of the screen, or like the center, and I went around it. Because I didn't want to trip, guys. I didn't want to trip. There's a lot of cables just like laying around places. Alright. I promise I'm not trying to be weird. I just am weird naturally. Finish him! Yes. Fatality. Immortal Kombat and all that. Toasty, oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. The butler just turned into the driveway, and I was like, who is that? It's the butler. Somebody just turned into my driveway, and it was scary, but, you know, it's the butler. Goodness gracious. The butler told me that they were going to get home early today, and I guess for whatever reason, I wasn't expecting this early. So we are going to finish our leaf before I end the stream, you know, so you guys don't think that I'm finishing the stream because of the butler. I can only imagine how much time the butler had to wait and the traffic that's happening right now, too. All right, let's do another eat. I think we're going to go that direction. right, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. You scared me. I saw those cars and then you turned in and I'm like, who is that? So yes. All right. So I'm gonna change the camera angle again because we're going to work on the face of the anvil instead of on the horn. Hey, Butler. Yes. So we're gonna come over here, kind of half in front of the camera, but not, or like the big camera, but not really. Ah! As I trip over the big camera. Goodness gracious me. There we go. Hey, Tim the Blacksmith, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. We are about to start an ad in about a minute or 2.5 minutes or something like that. So, I just moved our camera again to a better angle. We're going to start working on the face of the anvil, kind of straightening out the stem for this leaf. I'm kind of wasting a little bit of time. I have a new project in mind. It's just I don't have the steel to start it until Monday. So we're kind of seeing what we can make. But yeah, welcome. Let's give Tim the Blacksmith a shout out. If I can remember how to do that. Yeah. I know how to do that. I can do things. You should go watch Tim the Blacksmith. Follow him. It's good blacksmith content. All right, so we got an ad starting in about a minute. So once that ad is over, we'll do our next heat. Like I said, we are going to be lengthening out the stem on this leaf. I kind of want to make a keychain with it, and I want a nice long stem so I can kind of create a loop for those keys and then wrap the stem around a time or two. Just to kind of make it a little bit pretty, we might put a little tail on it. If we can only get one time around, I think it would be really nice to kind of stop it at the top of the leaf and kind of put a little bit of like a tail over top of it. But before we do that, we're going to have to kind of shape the leaf a little bit. Because right now it is a very flat leaf, and leaves in nature are not flat. They're kind of rounded, so we're going to do a little bit of movement with it as we go. Today we're kind of a little discombobulated. I didn't do nearly as much planning for today's stream as I normally do, so I'm just kind of winging it. We just finished working on a ladle. But all we really had to do was the rivets. So it's a huge ladle. This is the first ladle I've ever made, so I wasn't sure how big of a bowl I needed. Depends on the leaves. Some of big leaves on the water are flat. Yes, like lily pads and other water-based plants. But yeah, this bowl is way too big. I started with a 6-inch disc. I should have started with a 4-inch disc, I think. But you live and you learn. So now we're kind of working, figuring out what we want to do next. Making a leaf. Getting distracted by all the cars outside of my house. But yeah, hopefully this leaf will end up looking pretty. That is the goal of every piece, right? To make it look pretty. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. What can I talk about now? Like I said, I don't have my bullet points. Normally, I have a set of bullet points of things I want to talk about, or things that I could talk about, bring up as a topic. And yeah, I kind of did not plan those today. Goodness. All right, let's do another heat. That way I can like stop talking to myself about things that are not happening in my brains. All right. All right, I think we're going to do about 1 or 2 more heats on this stem, and then we're going to round it out and kind of address this keychain. Make it pretty and practical. Practicable. I don't think I'm reading that word right. What was something that was super difficult for you when you started smithing that's really easy now? You know what? That's a really amazing question, Corwin. It's also gonna make me think about it for a little bit. What is really difficult, or was really difficult, but it's really easy now? You know what? I hate to say this, but most of the stuff that was difficult then is still difficult now. Let's see. Rivets are becoming a lot easier now than they were then. I'm getting a lot better at drawing out stock, right? So tapering has always been something that I feel like a lot of people they have a lot of trouble with, right? Because it's the whole trying to judge how much heat you need in order to make the steel move, how much pressure you need from the hammer, aiming the hammer correctly, how long should I draw, or, how long should I work before I put it in the heat again? So, like, that was really challenging, and I'm starting to get a little bit better at that. Let's see. What other things am I getting better at? Like I said, I don't necessarily think that things are easier now. I think I know what I'm doing a little bit better, if that makes sense. And then, there are some things that used to be a lot easier that are before that are now a lot harder. And I know that sounds very counterintuitive, but when I first started blacksmithing, I was incredibly strong. I was not disabled. And I had a lot of, like, experience in other types of metal shaping and metal forming. And these days, you know, I get tired really quickly. Um, you know, sometimes I get brain fog, and, you know, sometimes it's just really hard to do the things that I know that I need to do and actually actively make those happen. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer to your question is, Corwin. It is a great question, though. Let's do another heat. I'll think about it a little bit more. Maybe I'll have a better answer for you. All right, for our next heat, I'm going to flatten out all of the lumps and bumps here, and then we're going to take off the corners. But yeah, I don't know why, but I feel like a lot of stuff that was a little bit easier on me before is a little bit harder now. I don't know. But then I am getting a lot better at a lot of other things. So I don't know. I will think about that question. I'll think about that question. I think that managing a coal forge is a lot easier now than it used to be. Getting one to start, because a coal forge or starting a coal forge, it can be really difficult, especially if you have green coal. And what I mean by green coal is coal that is not burned. Partially burned coal will end up starting a lot easier because there are less impurities, less liquid, and, you know, it's a little like coal that has burned a bit has a little bit more air, and it kind of just sets a little bit easier. I'm getting a lot better at kind of stacking my coal forge to light it. That's why you use a gas forge, don't you? I mean, honestly, the reason I use a gas forge is because I end up talking to you guys for like long periods of time. And it's something that small, talking, I just burn it up. You know, if I was waiting on an ad, I'd burn it. Oh, I know. Yeah. So, I mean, but not everybody's here all the time. So, you know, it's always good to reiterate, like, you know, good questions. And that could have been or that was a good question. You know, why do you use a gas instead of a coal forge? All right, let's do another heat. For this heat, what we're going to do is we are going to work with the flat of the hammer and kind of making it prettyifying this thing a little bit. That's something that I'm getting a lot better at, is allowing myself the time to make things better looking. But I feel like that was only, or I only really learned that a couple of weeks ago, 10 years of attempting to blacksmith, and that's when I learned to, let myself take extra heats or extra time. But I mean, in regards to Corwin's question, something that was super difficult for me when I first started, but is now really easy. Part of the reason why I feel like a lot of the stuff is just as hard as it ever was is due to the fact that I have never spent the time and reps to get amazingly good at something, to like master it, right? Um, so they tell you when you first start blacksmithing that you need to make 100 leaves, 100 hooks, 100 nails, or 100 nails every day as a warm up. Talking to us. Well, that's something that has gotten a lot easier for me. You're right, Bluesy. That is definitely something that has gotten a lot easier for me, over time. I've gotten a lot better at talking to the camera and not saying as much, and instead I say, but yeah, I've never sat down and made 100 nails or 100 leaves or like, because the repetition kind of reinforces the techniques and it increases your ability to do them by, with muscle memory. And I've never had the patience nor the time to just kind of do that. So that's one of those things that I recommend to people that I don't really practice. It's kind of a practice what you preach thing, and I don't do that, to get good at something, you need to do it 100 times. To master it, you need to do it 100,000 times or 10,000 times. That's how many zeros. It was 10,000 times. Yes, and I've never sat down and done that for blacksmithing. Now I have sat there and done that for jewelry crafting stuff. I've sized thousands upon thousands of rings. I have polished thousands upon thousands of rings, That's the kind of stuff that I have taken the time. I was forced to take the time to get good at. But blacksmithing, I've never done that. And so you guys are kind of seeing me in real time put in the reps. And it's taking me longer because I'm not just doing them one after another after another. I've got a good base for some of this stuff, but if I would just, taper 100 bars or make 100 leaves or whatever, I'd get a lot better, a lot faster. It's just how things are. All right, let's do another heat. Ah. All right, so for our next heat, we are going to take the corners off of the stem and round it out. I think I said that already, though. It's how she does things, I just enjoy watching the forging and the metal smacking. See, I enjoy doing it. I enjoy showing it to you, showing the process of, that me learning blacksmithing. I really enjoy showing that. I mean, and I also enjoy pointing you guys in the direction of better blacksmiths. So, like, I feel like I'm an appetizer, right? I feel like I'm here to kind of show you what's possible and then point you into the direction of somebody who does know what they're doing and does, work very beautiful, or like make very beautiful pieces. So, you know, and as I continue to work, I will, you know, maybe I'll get there. Maybe I'll become a master blacksmith someday. But that is not right now. So, drop. So, you know, in the meantime, I'm still working. I'm still trying to make things easier for myself. And I think that's okay. You know? Now, I will say that I'm getting really close to editing my 100th video. I'm getting decent at it. Speaking of, let's change camera angles again. I'm getting really close to my 100th video, guys. And I have certainly already passed my 100th stream. So, you know, I've got 100 shorts in my, or under my belt. I'm getting pretty okay at this content creation stuff. The butler says that my content creation is equivalent to someone who went to college for it, like an undergrad. So, intensive graduate or like undergrad courses in content creation. Woohoo! Twitch gets Ray on the main page. What? There is no way I'm on the main page. I would be cool if I was on the main page. I would love to be on it. They should do it. Hitting the century mark in videos is a nice achievement. Yeah. So I'm getting close. I'm getting close. I haven't made it there, but I am starting to get close. All right. Let's go. Or maybe it's not that I'm getting close. Maybe I'm only halfway there. Now that I think about it, I'm probably only halfway there. Because there are 52 weeks in a year, and we've been doing this just over a year. So by the end of this year, I'll probably get my 100th video. But if you count my shorts, you know. All right, that's pretty nice and round. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to cut off the stem so we can start working on it. But yeah, I think I'm up to like getting close to 200 videos on YouTube. A lot of those are my streams, like my raw streams. But yeah, I've got well over 100 shorts at this point. But then I don't know that my shorts are amazing, you know? I never know what the algorithm's gonna, you know, do with them. Okay, I think we're okay. All right. A couple more heats and we should be finished with this leaf. I keep thinking to myself that I'm a little bit later in my editing journey than I think than I actually am. because I've been making videos on YouTube weekly for a year, so that's 52 weeks. So I'm probably only halfway through 100 videos. Because I can add things, you know. I know how many weeks are in a year and stuff. So, less an achievement, but, you know, 50 videos is still pretty good. Alright. Let's cut this off. Alright. Toss that over there to cool. And then we're going to toss this guy back in the forge. So, I need a different pair of tongs. So we're going to use, there we go, these tongs. Put this away for a moment. So yeah, for our next heat, we are going to take that little end that we just cut off and kind of thin that out a little bit. So yeah. Then we're gonna shape our stem and we'll have our leaf. So, what about you guys? In your jobs and stuff, is there something that you guys thought was like really, really hard to do and is now a lot easier? I think, you know, after about a year of doing a job, I feel like a lot of things get a lot easier because, you know, you kind of get your bearings and stuff. All right, I'm going to change the camera angle one more time. I know, I'm doing it a lot, but, you know. Go a little bit closer. No, I can't manage that. All right, let's go this angle. This works. That'll work. Ah. I think. I think this leaf could be pretty decent. Maybe. All right, more heat. Isn't that the case for almost anything? Everything gets much better and easier after getting used to it. That's very true. Well, I can hook up I can hook up the milkers blindly. When I started, it took a lot longer and I had to watch what I was doing. When you're milking the cows. That's cool. I mean, I can imagine, you know, if you, because the machines that I've seen on like how it's made, you know, they look a little bit complicated. Goats. Oh, cows are easier. I'll bet goats are harder. Aren't they smaller? Well, they are smaller, obviously. But yeah, that is impressive. But yeah, I don't know. When people get used to stuff, yeah, it gets a lot easier. And, you know, practice makes perfect and all. All right, we've got an ad coming up in about 3 minutes, so I'm going to do another heat. And yeah, I'm going to attempt to get moving on this. Let's see, can I get this out of here? Yes, I can. All right, our next heat, I'm gonna round out the tip and then we're gonna start scrolling this piece. Practice makes carpal tunnel. See, that depends, right? It depends on how you're, if you're doing it properly or not, you know? Cows have 4 nipples and goats have 2, sometimes 3. Wow. Practice makes the master. The saying is a slight bit overused, though. I can imagine a lot of people use that phrase a lot. It's one of those like work jargon things that a lot of people will use. Tennis elbow, rotator cuff damage, arthritis. Just give up before you get all those things. I mean, there are ways oftentimes to modify how you are doing things to make it a little bit more safe. So tennis elbow, rotator cuff damage, and arthritis for a blacksmith, that's all stuff that can be staved off or prevented by using machines like the press or a power hammer. Then I don't have to hand hammer things, you know? I'm JK. Well, it's a valid concern, you know? Also, a proper hammer blow oftentimes, or like, is a lot easier on your arm if you're doing it properly. There are proper ways to do things and improper ways to do things. And that's why I always recommend, if you're going to learn blacksmithing, that you need to apprentice under someone. I've had tennis elbow, never played tennis though. Hey, arthritis comes with experience, right? I bet the neighbors would love you if you had a power hammer. See, I lucked out, right? There are no houses on that side of me for, I don't know, 400 yards or so. And I have an entire house on that side of me. And there's a field back there. So if I had a power hammer, it wouldn't be nearly as bad as it could be, you know? We picked this house specifically because there's a lot of space around the shop. It is somewhat out of the category of Solange Dudine. As long as you put your feet under my table. I don't know that I understand that one. Power hammer wouldn't be as bad as some people's vehicles. Yes, very much so. And it depends on the size of the power hammer. The size. Gotta adjust my headphones. After a while, they start really pressing in on my ears. I've got RP tonight, so I gotta debate whether I'm gonna be in voice chat or not, because my voice chat headphones and my safety headphones, you know, they can get really uncomfortable after a while. Oh. It is a typical saying by rather authoritarian parents. As long as you depend on me, us for your living, figuratively speaking, at the table, you do as I say. Okay, here in the U.S., we often say, as long as you live under our roof. As long as you're under our roof. So that's really similar. Tables and roofs and under things, you know? All right, let's do another heat. As long as you live under my roof. All right. So from here on, we are going to kind of fold this around, do a little bit of scroll work. Yes, same thing. What if you sit with your feet on the chair at the table? Does that still apply since your feet are under the table at that point? I'm 100% sure someone tried that argument at some discussion, probably. I oftentimes will sit with my feet underneath of me, you know, like I'll get up on my chair, you know, like so, and instead of leaving my feet, I'll sit like this, or sit on my feet. Women do that a lot, I've found. I mean, I can't say that I don't. Like I said, I do. I definitely do that. Or curl them up on the couch and such. Yeah, like the part of the reason why I curl my feet underneath of me is because I have scoliosis, and so my muscles holding up my back tend to get fatigued in weird ways, and so by curling my feet one side, then I'm only stressing half my back, and then later on I can, you know, curl them the opposite direction, and I can relieve the stress. I tend to do that too, not female. Well, I think it's just something that most people do when they're trying to get comfy, you know? Curl up with a good book under a blanket or so, you know? Yes, I do it sometimes on the couch, but it tends to be females that do it more often. I don't know. Sounds plausible. Alrighty, let's do some scrolling. So I think we're gonna move the camera again a couple times. In this case, we are going to be working on the corner of the anvil. So I'm gonna bring us really low so you can kind of see that. And then we're gonna do a little bit of shaping on the horn. So I'll probably move a little bit there as well. All right. I don't know why I moved that direction, but you know, whatever. Okay. Move that. All right. So we've got a little bit there. So the rest of this, I'm going to wrap around that. Probably, anyway. If I can get it in there. It's brighter today. It must be nice and sunny. It definitely is nice and sunny today. I've got my garage door open. And so because I've got the garage door open, it's a lot brighter in here. So yeah, it has been a little bit on the darker side lately because it's just been a little bit overcast. Trying to heat the whole thing. All right. I think we're gonna be all right. See if I can do this. All right, more heat. It's gonna take me a couple of heats to do this. Oh, I'm using my hammer in front of the camera lens. Apologies for that. Let's take our next heat with the 2 sets of tongs. That way you guys should, in theory, be able to see a little bit easier. Okay. Let's see if I can do this. Can I do it? Can I? I don't know. Maybe. You know what? This is doing really badly. It's alright though. I think I made it a little bit thick. So yeah, we're gonna fix that. It's gonna take me a couple of heats, but we'll fix it. I knew it was pretty cold and you weren't forging for a few days. Do you ever stop forging when it's too hot, or do you consider, what do you consider too hot to forge? Making a thing. So too hot to forge is kind of not a thing for me. Because I am incredibly, how can I have a high heat tolerance, right? As long as I have enough liquid so that I am not dehydrating myself, I will forge at 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which is really, really hot. But, you know, it's kind of dangerous to do, you know? I have gotten kidney stones in the past for doing it. But, you know, I definitely will, you know, cancel stream for it being too cold. I tolerate heat a lot better than I tolerate the cold. All right, let's try this again. I don't know how well it's gonna go. Whoops. This side. Are you one of the dinosaur people that loves heat? I like heat, but 120 is a bit hot for me. I absolutely love heat. I do not mind sweating through my shirt. But I try not to wear white when I do it, you know? Alright. We're getting there. What you guys think? It's kind of tight around there. That's not bad. We're going to do a little bit of shaping on this leaf, and then we're going to leave it at that. The forge definitely runs more efficient when it's hotter, but can be miserable. Very much so. It can definitely be miserable. But as I said, you know, it's, you know, looks great. Great job. Thanks. I don't think it's the best leaf I've ever made, but, you know, it's something. I do like that I was able to tie it around twice. That's exactly what I wanted to see there. All right. How am I going to go about this? move these over here for the moment. And we're going to bring this over again. And I just got done. With focusing the camera, but I'm going to do a little bit more. We're going to do this. So that you guys can kind of see. All right. We're going to do a thing. It's going to be a thing. We'll see how well it goes. There we go. That's a little bit more natural looking. So that's probably where we're going to leave it. So yeah. There it is. It's got a little bit of movement going on there. Not too bad. But yeah. Alrighty guys, I think that is all she wrote for the day. So, thank you guys so much for watching and putting up with my craziness today. Have a wonderful weekend. You guys also have a great night. Thank you guys so much. All right, who do we got? We're gonna go to Miramax. All right, guys, have a wonderful weekend and the rest of today, and I will see you guys on Monday.